The Kappa family is invited to a resort in the beginning of the film for a vacation. Although Guy and Priska, the children's parents, have never heard of the resort before, they are enthusiastic. As they arrive, the manager himself and the entire crew welcome them. Then a woman shows up and offers them complimentary drinks. She eventually takes Trent and Maddox outside, where a few other individuals are relaxing. The children encounter Idlib, the manager's nephew, at the candy counter. Trent makes a quick buddy out of him, and the two of them begin looking around. Maddox and her parents, meanwhile, get into their bathing costumes and enjoy some time at the beach. It seems like the family is set to enjoy the time of their life at first glance. They have no idea, though, that they are about to embark on a terrifying journey. Over breakfast the following morning, we get to know the other families. A well-known surgeon named Charles has traveled with his mother Agnes, wife Crystal, and their 6-year-old daughter Cara. The Carmichael pair, made up of Jarin and Patricia, comes next. The latter has epilepsy, which frequently results in seizures in her. She has a severe seizure even now while eating breakfast. But fortunately, the surgeon, Charles, helps her get up. The Kappa family is approached by the resort manager, who informs them that a stunning beach is only 5 kilometers away. He adds that he has already made arrangements for a vehicle and other necessities for their journey. Guy and Priska don't understand why they are being treated like king and queen. They nevertheless concur. The family then quickly boards the bus and prepares for their journey. However, Chris and his family decide to go along as well, making the trip less exclusive. After some time, they pass a gate marked clearly off limits. The guests are all too preoccupied with their own pursuits to notice it. The driver leaves them off and directs them to the beach once they reach the end of the road. He makes no effort to accompany them or carry their luggage. He states before departing that he will pick them up at 5 p.m. In the following scene, the gang enters a small tunnel after continuing their journey through the forest. They eventually make it to the beach from there. Just like the resort management had promised, the location is breathtaking. Without waiting, the families immediately begin unpacking their belongings until they notice a lonesome-looking man sitting nearby. Mid-sized sedan. A well-known rapper is shown to be who he is. He is immediately recognized by Maddox, who attempts to collect his autograph but is told to leave him alone by her father. After some time, the 3 children start to play and discover many artifacts buried in the sand. While some of them are other items one would typically carry to the beach, toys make up the majority of them. Here, things just grow stranger. There are no fish on the beach, not even little mollusks. Trent, a curious youngster, goes swimming by himself in the meantime. He enjoys splashing against the gentle waves until a body on the surface drifts toward him. He cries out in terror for assistance, and the grown-ups rush to save him. When the lifeless body is brought to the shore, Charles, the surgeon, concludes that she had just recently drowned. As they got to the shore, he claims that mid-sized Sedan killed her because no one else was present. When Sedan is seen bleeding from the nose, indicating that he had a fight with the woman, the charge is made even more believable. The latter tries to convince everyone that he had nothing to do with the tragedy, but nobody accepts his explanation. Trent, the young boy, constantly moaning that his bathing suit is getting tighter. Agnes, Charles' mother, also claims that Agnes is having respiratory problems. Charles tries to contact for assistance when he realizes something horrible is happening, but there is no service nearby. The Carmichaels, the earlier couple, arrive there just then. On the direction of the resort manager, the driver has also dropped them off. The horrified group informs them of the situation right away, and as a result, Jarin, the husband, decides to stop the vehicle from leaving. But as soon as he enters the cavern, he collapses and loses consciousness. He has a nasty headache when he wakes up on the beach a short while later. All of them are perplexed by what just occurred, but before they can look into it, they discover that Agnes has stopped breathing. Charles does his hardest to revive his mother as the group rushes to her side. Unfortunately, nothing he does is successful. To divert the Kappa children, the Carmichaels are conversing with them in the meantime. Trent responds, 6, when Jarin inquires about the boy's age. He appears much older, which makes the Carmichaels find it difficult to believe. As soon as Priska comes on the scene, she is astounded to see her kids. They have miraculously aged by a few years, rendering them unrecognizable. Charles pursues Sedan as he flees once he sees the chaos erupting around him. But as soon as they get to the caravan, they pass out. They then come to on the beach. Concerned after seeing everything, Priska says they should leave the area in a different route. Sadly, each time one of them approaches the deep canyon, they pass out and come to again on the shore. This indicates that they are permanently trapped, with 2 dead bodies nearby. It will be challenging to find new clothing for the kids because they are aging so quickly. As panic sets in, the adults begin formulating their next course of action. The Kappa speculate that a virus is to blame for all the irregularities as Charles, who has recently developed paranoia, stabs Sedan in the face. Amazingly, the wound heals quickly, almost as if it never had happened. After some time, Maddox drags Sedan away and queries him regarding the location's reality. The latter asserts that he is equally ignorant as they are. Sedan confesses that he has an unique disease that prevents his blood from clotting as the two become more at ease conversing. The grown-ups also learn that the girl they discovered dead on the beach had sclerosis in the meantime. Just then, Priska begins to become disoriented and quickly collapses to the ground. It turns out that she has a tumor, which is the primary cause of the breakdown of her marriage to Guy. It was a little tumor when they first got to the beach, but it has now grown to the size of a tennis ball. Charles chooses to use the knife he possesses to do a surgery because time is running out. Nevertheless, as it did with Sedan, as soon as he makes an incision, it immediately mends. Charles begins to converse with himself, which only makes things worse. He had shown signs of schizophrenia before getting to this beach, but now the illness is taking control of him. Thankfully, the other members of the gang assist him in waking up so he may get on with the procedure. Charles makes a second cut close to Priska's abdomen after that, and this time, everyone holds the wound to prevent it from healing. After Charles removes the enormous tumor, they merely let it go. And as soon as the wound is healed, Priska awakens. She is now healthy again. They quickly notice that the earlier dead woman has now decomposed into dust and bones. So their joy does not continue for very long. Even though her body was removed just a few hours earlier, it has already fully disintegrated. The bones are examined by Priska, a museum curator, who notes that it takes at least 7 years for something of this nature to decay. The party notices at this point that time is passing more quickly on the beach. According to Priska's exact calculations, a half hour spent here is comparable to a complete year of human life. Trent and Kara, the children, are seen elsewhere snacking on the leftover food. Everyone is startled to see them all grown up when they return. Kara is also severely pregnant with a child. Charles and the others lay her down and get ready to deliver the baby after realizing that she might give birth at any moment. Crystal, who also wants to be near her daughter, faints from anxiety. She discovers that Kara has just delivered a baby, but it has now passed away when she awakens. The baby's time passed by so quickly that it was unable to even begin to eat or develop its muscles. Trent is perplexed as he considers everything since, although being an adult, he still behaves like a 6-year-old. Charles, on the other hand, has become increasingly agitated. In one situation, he begs Jaren to go. In another, he advises his wife to put on cosmetics because she looks awful. Charles finally goes too far as he grabs Sedan and stabs him repeatedly with a knife. The rapper's illness prevents blood from clotting, so he doesn't even have a chance to heal. Devastated, Jaren believes it is preferable to risk his life than to slowly perish here and resolves to cross the waters and call for assistance. Guy cautiously removes the knife from Charles after he leaves since Charles has become completely paranoid at this time. He had an epiphany when he sees this. Every family who arrived at the beach shared a characteristic. One of their members had a condition at the very least. For instance, Sedan had a rare blood disorder, Charles had schizophrenia, Priska had a tumor, and the deceased woman had multiple sclerosis. Guy then queries his spouse over the source of the invitation card. Priska admits that she won it in a chance sweepstakes that she entered on the pharmacy receipts back. From this, it can be inferred that the resort's proprietors were already aware of their medical histories. When Maddox goes swimming in the following scene, she stumbles upon a dead body. It is made clear that it belongs to Jaren. Like the other incident with the woman, he must have passed out while submerged and perished. When Patricia sees him, she sobs in misery, and the other people are even more appalled because they have nowhere to go. Kara, though, is not willing to give up that lightly. She makes the decision to ascend the canyon, and she nearly succeeds. She unfortunately passes out and falls to her death just as she reaches the summit. Patricia begins to severely convulse a few seconds later, and she too dies. 2 additional bodies are added to the collection in this manner. As the day quickly gives way to darkness, the Kappa pair gradually begins to become disoriented. They are struggling to remember why they are attempting to leave this gorgeous location at this point. On the other hand, a book that reportedly belonged to those who came before them has been discovered by their offspring. It has a list of everyone's names, addresses, and medical conditions. A light that suddenly emerges from a hilltop diverts Trent's focus. He realizes it is a camera after giving it a closer look. This indicates that they are being carefully examined. In the meantime, Charles, who has turned into a ticking time bomb, moves cautiously toward Guy to kill him. The latter is unable to notice it because he is almost completely blind. Charles soon lunges at him and begins stabbing him in the body. Although Priska is right there, she cannot hear it since she has lost her hearing. But as soon as she realizes what's happening, she grabs a rusty knife and stabs Charles. She is only able to create a tiny cut on one of his arms, but the rust rapidly seeps into his bloodstream and kills him. The siblings encounter an elderly Crystal as they cautiously make their way inside the cave. She tries to kill the kids with rocks because she doesn't want anyone to see her disgusting face. Her bones crack as she tries to pick up a large one. She is deformed as it instantly begins to recover in the wrong direction. Shortly later, Crystal suffers a horrible death. After everything quiets down, the Kappa family is the only ones left standing. Guy expresses his affection for his family with emotion as they reunite once more close to the ocean. He says this before passing away. Soon after, Priska also passes away from old age. The kids are upset because they are powerless without their parents. They awaken in their late 40s the following morning. Trent and Maddox choose to spend the rest of their time playing because they are aware that they will one day become just like their parents. While they begin building sand castles, Trent recalls that the nephew of the resort manager, Ivan, had given him a problem to complete. Trent pulls out the puzzle because they have plenty of time, and he eventually solves it. My uncle doesn't like the coral, it says. The siblings realize that the corals have all of the solutions to their problems after receiving this message, so they go into the water right away and swim for the corals. Then, when they attempt to pass through an underwater passage, Maddox's dress becomes snagged on a piece of coral. The action then shifts to a man standing in the hills overlooking the shore. The driver who dropped the families off there is none other than him. He calls his supervisor and informs him of the situation after making sure everyone is dead. He then gathers his possessions and departs. Then, we are led to a lab where a number of eminent researchers are studying various medications. Furthermore present, the resort manager informs everyone that Trial 73 has concluded. He also points out that because of this seashore, they have been able to use their medicines to save millions of lives. Now, we learn that the resort is a front for a pharmaceutical corporation. They use the beach to carry out clinical experiments on ill individuals so that they can obtain the findings quickly rather than having to wait years. They actually blend test medications for their specific conditions into the welcome beverages they provide their clients. The Kappa siblings, who have miraculously survived the terrible waves, are visible elsewhere. With the notepad they discovered on the beach, they are now back at the hotel. They quickly locate a policeman who is also on vacation and inform him of what transpired. The siblings even give him the notebook containing the list of all the missing persons in an effort to help him understand. After making some calls, the officer determines that the individuals are truly missing. The medical lab is discovered in the climactic moment, and all the scientists are detained. The Kappa siblings are flown home in a chopper as a group.